Most people think money problems start when money runs out. They don't. They start on a normal day, when nothing breaks, when nothing actually goes wrong. But 1 month feels tighter than it should. That's when you pause for a second. Not because anything is wrong, but because you start doing math in your head. That's how 99% of us live, one normal month away from having to react. The 1% live differently, not because they make more money, but because their system doesn't force decisions when pressure shows up. In this video, I'll show you the 4-part system that the 1% use so one bad month doesn't control your focus, your day, or your decisions. If you miss one part, everything feels urgent. If you get it right, nothing feels rushed. Most money problems do not start when money runs out. They start earlier, when a small hit forces you to react. When one bad month means you have to move money, delay bills, or make fast decisions. That system was already fragile. When things look stable, people build life to match it. Then bills rise with income. Commitments stack on top of each other. Everything works as long as nothing changes. This is how the 99% build money. The 1% build differently. They assume income will dip sometimes. So they never let fixed costs rise to the point where one bad month forces action. Not because they're cautious, because they want time. And this is what losing that time actually feels like. It's a sunny Sunday. You're at the beach with your family. Kids running around, warm air. Everyone is relaxed. You sit down to eat together, laughing, talking about nothing important. And then you open your bank app. Not because something happened, because something might. Nothing dramatic, but enough that you noticed. Everyone else is enjoying the day and you feel it instead. Your shoulders tense, your focus drifts. Someone asks you a question and you miss it. You start scanning dates, rent, car payments, insurance, subscription you forgot you even had. Your thumb pauses. You're not panicking, but you're not calm either. You catch yourself doing math you have done before, not to plan, to decide what breaks first if this lasts another month. That's the moment most people misunderstand. Nothing bad happened, but your systems already force you to react. The reason I'm telling you this is because money problems don't announce themselves with emergencies. They show up when a normal moment gets interrupted by quiet pressure. And once pressure shows up, decisions stop being optional. That's why decision starts to feel heavy. Because when income slows, every bill is locked in. Action becomes mandatory. So the money has to be moved. A credit card has to be used. A bill has to be pushed. Not because someone is irresponsible, because the system gives no other options. And standing there, you can feel it. Nothing blew up, but there's no room to wait, and waiting is how good decisions actually get made. The pressure isn't the income, it's how close everything already is to the edge. When your life is not built at full stretch, a bad month does not demand action. It feels familiar, contained. Small problems stay small because nothing is forced to change. That gap between a problem and forced decision is a failure margin. Without it, discipline stops mattering. And when decisions get forced under pressure, that's when most people actually lose control. And the scary part is, you don't notice judgment slipping when things go wrong. You notice it when nothing looks wrong, but every decision suddenly feels urgent. Like a boring Monday morning, you're sitting in the car outside work, engine still on. You open your banking app, nothing is wrong, but every number feels louder than it should. A credit card balance is higher than you expected. A balance is due in a few days. Another charge is scheduled for next week. So the questions start. Do I pay this now or wait until next paycheck? Do I pull from savings just this once and put it back later? These are normal questions. The problem is, when you have to answer them while you're stressed, you're not panicking at that moment, but you are negotiating. And that's the moment people miss. They think this is where they mess up. They blame themselves for making the wrong call. What's really happening is simpler. Their system is forcing decisions at the worst possible time. The reason I'm telling you this is because the moment a system asks you to decide under stress, it has already failed. While the 1% design their money so this moment never shows up, they assume stress will come. So they decide in advance what money can and cannot be touched. The money that pays fixed bills is isolated and boring. It only does one job. The money for everyday spending has clear limits. It cannot quietly expand just because things feel tight. When the pressure hits, nothing needs to be moved around. Money does not get mixed. There is no decision to debate in the moment. This is not discipline, that is design. Most of the panic people feel comes from flexibility at the wrong time. When every dollar can be used for anything, stress turns choice into urgency. Separation removes that urgency. It creates time, not forever, just enough. Enough time to see whether the problem is real or temporary. Enough time to respond instead of react. That is what decision immunity looks like in real life. And once decisions stop piling up under stress, stability stops being the finish line. And this is where people confuse stability with safety. Because the next mistake people make is assuming safety is the goal. So they hold back, they stop taking chances, they wait for the perfect moment that feels responsible, but growth quietly dies. On the other side, some people do the opposite. They finally feel a little room and they push too hard. And this is what pushing too hard actually feels like. It's a Wednesday evening. You're home earlier than usual. Dinner's done. The house is quiet. You sit down not to work, just to check. Laptop opens. Phone goes face up next to it. You'd refresh numbers you promised yourself you'd only check once a week. Your foot starts bouncing. You lean closer to the screen. You scroll back, then forward, as if something might change. It doesn't. You sit back, exhale through your nose. Not relieved, just restless and thinking, if I just put a little more into this, it'll move faster. That thought surprises you, not because the plan changed, but because waiting suddenly feels uncomfortable. That's the exact moment growth breaks. It stops being something you're testing and becomes something you're depending on. Here's the line most people cross without noticing. The second growth needs to work, it stops being growth. It becomes pressure. But the 1% never let it get to this point. They decide before this moment what growth is allowed to touch and what it's never allowed to reach. So when nothing moves, they don't lean in. They don't add fuel. They don't make it urgent. They close the laptop. They let time do its job. If it works, life improves. If it doesn't, life continues. Nothing essential gets touched. That's not caution. That's asymmetric growth. And sometimes growth doesn't feel loudly. It just doesn't work. Not enough to break anything, just enough to linger. And that is what the moment actually feels like. You're driving somewhere familiar. Same route you have taken 100 times. Hands on the wheel. Radio on low volume. Your eyes on the road. But your mind keeps drifting back. It wasn't a disaster. It was just a decision. The one that didn't work. You replay it without meaning to. What you put in, when you did it, what you should have noticed sooner. Later that week, something new shows up. Not perfect, but workable. You see it, you understand it, and you do nothing. Not because it's wrong, because part of you is still thinking about that last decision. Then days pass, nothing breaks, bills still get paid, life keeps moving, but you don't. That's how regret actually shows up. Not as a financial hit, as hesitation. Momentum slows quietly, then stalls. And nothing tells you to fix it. No alarm, no overdue notices, no crisis. Just the feeling that something's not moving. The reason I'm telling you this is because regret doesn't spread through losses. It spreads through hesitation. And systems that don't define how much a mistake is allowed to cost keep people stuck inside old decisions longer than the mistake itself. The 1% expect this moment. They decide before it ever happens. They have an idea how much a mistake is allowed to cost. Not emotionally, but structurally. So when something fails, there's no debate to reopen it. No lessons to keep reliving it. The decision closes. The system absorbs the loss. Life keeps moving. That's how mistakes stop spreading. And that's how progress continues without drama. Which this brings back to you. If you want to move from the 99% to the 1%, it doesn't happen all at once. And it does not happen by trying harder. It happens by rebuilding your system one layer at a time. You start by creating room. You sit down and write out what in your life would force you to act if income slowed for 1 month. Not hypotheticals, real things that keep charging no matter what. Like rent, mortgage, car payments, debt, subscriptions, anything that does not care how motivated you feel. That list needs to exist before there is a problem. Anything on that list cannot be built to the edge. It cannot assume best case income. It gets treated more carefully than the rest of your life. When you do this right, a bad month feels familiar, not shocking. Nothing needs to change right away. Once you have that room, your job shifts. Now you make sure stress cannot touch your decisions. You separate money so you're not negotiating with yourself when pressure shows up. Bills get paid from one place and one place only. Daily spending comes from another place with clear limits. Money meant for growth or risk stays separate and is never used to fix short-term discomfort. When stress hits, there's nothing to debate. You're not asking yourself what to move or what to borrow from. The system already answered this for you. With decisions no longer piling up, you can think about growth without risking collapse. That means you only grow in ways that do not have to reach survival mode. You do not quit stable income to chase upside. You do not put rent money behind something that might work. Growth happens on the side. It gets time to prove itself. If it works, your life improves. If it does not work, tomorrow looks the same. That is how you stay in the game long enough for growth to matter. And even then, something will fail. When that happens, you need one more rule. You define what a loss actually is before you experience one. A loss is money used for growth that did not work. A loss is time spent on something that did not pan out. A loss is not rent. It's not groceries. It's not daily life. Those are never allowed to be part of the bet. So when something fails, you already know what happens next. You stop the bleed. You return to the base system. You wait before making another move. No chasing, no panic fixes, no rewriting the plan under emotion. This is how mistakes stay contained. This is how progress keeps moving. This is what moving from 99% to the 1% actually looks like. Not smarter predictions, not perfect timing, a system that stays stable while growth takes time to work. Build that and life stops feeling fragile. If this video made sense to you, it's because this isn't really about money. It's about systems holding under pressure. And if the moment where nothing was wrong, but a normal month started demanding action hit you, the next video explains why habits fail the second that pressure shows up. That's exactly what I break down in my other video. Same idea, different part of life. If you're tired of resetting habits that never stick, watch that next. And if you want these frameworks in a quieter, more usable form, I send them out in my newsletter at gridbehindgrowth.com. Not spam, not motivation codes, just systems you can actually use. If this kind of thinking feels uncomfortably practical, you should probably subscribe too. And this is Grid Behind Growth, where we build real businesses with grit, not gimmicks. Let's build something real together.